Here's what happened. My life partner and I were able to spend a night at a hotel nearby earlier this week, the past few days. I'm trying to remember exact day, but it was earlier in the week, and we're visiting her family right now. So it was nice to not just get a change of environment and be able to have that time together to reconnect. Like that was beautiful and awesome and incredible. But then also, it reminded me of how much I've had my head in the water. It feels like I over these past few months, it's felt like a sprint where I'm like in this race, swimming, front crawl, and I'm just going, 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 having a moment to breathe out from my side, but then get my head back in the water. And I haven't really been able to lift my head up to look at the direction I'm headed and also look back. Like it's been a while since I'd done something like that to really get things in perspective. And sometimes it's just what we need is that reminder of perspective. And today, what I want to get into are the principles to remember before giving up on your goals. Because for me, having that time at that hotel also reminded me of the goals that I've been working towards to not give up on those. And so I've come back to these principles that I'm excited to be able to share with you that I know will resonate for you, especially if you're feeling like you've been sprinting a lot recently and have had a lot of challenges that come your way, if that's family to work to health, and you feel like you're getting hit with a lot of shit. I want to be able to help you with changing that perspective and help you to lift your head up to look around and be like, okay, this is what's going on. So this is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Before getting into it, I want to say thank you for listening to this episode. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe and follow this show. My commitment to you by you doing that is to make this the best show it can be, to be the best storyteller, the best researcher, the best interviewer for the guests that are coming on and sharing their insights, all focused on this mission of making burnout extinct in your life, which then continues to support you in moving towards who it is you want to become, the vision you have for your life. So thank you for being a part of this movement. Today, for the problem I want to talk about is that feeling of like you're about to throw in the towel on your goals. And that can then also mean your dreams that you've set for this year. It's coming towards the end of the year. We're almost like a month out till the end of the year. So it can feel, there can be different emotions that come up at this time. I think about that in my own life, where especially these goals that I've set, I've had a few that I've set out, and it's hard to think that I'm going to accomplish and achieve those goals. So what that can do is create this internal struggle and this beating myself up internally of like, dude, you could have done so much better. Like, why didn't you work harder or put in more effort or, be able to make the calls that you had to make or send the messages to the people you wanted to send the message to, like all these different narratives that come up like, dude, you could have done better. And all of that beating yourself up, it can internally can cause us to move towards hitting burnout if we're not actually making a change and using that as fuel that can be channeled into changing our habits and continuing to move forward in life. So what I want to get into is some things that you might be feeling when it comes to right now in this year. Especially I think about that for like, you may not have hit your ideal strength if that's with working out. So I think of that in lifting the ideal amount of weight for different exercises that you're doing out there. I think of, bench press is what comes up right away, but it could be something else like the amount of push-ups that you're getting in, pull-ups. It could be focused on, squats, or it could be financial goals. Like you didn't hit the financial goal that you had set out for the year. And I know how that could feel, especially in this time with the economy and how things are looking, and the both confusion, but also potential hopeful hope of the future. Like there's different emotions that could come up with that. Or it could be the relationship status. It hasn't changed for you and you've wanted to change that. If that's getting into a relationship and actually asking that person out that you've been really interested in asking out, but you haven't done it yet. So whatever it is that you're beating yourself up internally, and it can feel like you want to throw in that towel. What I want to do today is to be able to get into one specific principle that was shared to me by someone that I look to as a mentor, named John. His name's John Butcher. And someone I'll get into his story a little bit with this, but there's one principle that he shared that every time I read it and I think about it, it gives me chills. Like it's such a powerful one to help you with reframing for the remainder of this year, getting ready for next year. Then I want to get into breaking it down for how to navigate situations with goals, be able to help you out with depending on where you're at with your goals. and then getting into a reminder about the body, a quick, important reminder about the body with burnout. So I'll do that actually before. And then I'll share with you a few other principles and some other strategies that can help you in this time of year for where you're at, and share with you my own experiences being able to go through this too, with just what's come up for my goals, being able to look at my habits, and being able to help that be an example for you for looking at your own life and the habits that you're working on, as well as then the goals that you're moving towards achieving, or depending on where you are in that progress, wherever you are at, being able to help break it down a little bit better. And then from there, what I want to get into is remembering some key habits that you can add in that can help support you to continue that momentum in life, to continue to move forward. You may be feeling like you need a new push for momentum, or it could be also a moment to be able to get centered and structured going into the new year. So have some more structure in what can feel like a chaotic time right now. So a few things we're going to jump into, which I'm pumped about. So for the first one, let's kick it off with being able to share with you that principle. So again, John Butcher's who I learned this from. He's such an interesting guy. I tell you what, I met him, trying to think, a few years back. I don't know the exact years. Definitely it had been a couple of years. And I was able to have a conversation with him and his partner, Missy, which was awesome to be able to have a few moments of having a conversation. But he's run multiple companies that have made a lot of money. And he also is like super fit for in his 60s. Like, it's incredible. It's inspiring. He has a beautiful and amazing relationship with his partner, Missy. And overall just has this centeredness and this spiritual centeredness that it's awesome. It's inspiring for me. It's something where I can look towards for guidance and as an example. So with this principle, that's hearing it from him, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take this to heart. And what the principle is, it's the principle of immense potential, which states that we have more potential within us than we could ever develop in our lifetime. And so where it comes to fulfillment, that comes from being on the path of developing that potential, which what you can break it down into is being on the path of progress and of showing up and focusing on the process rather than the outcome. That's where fulfillment can come up for moving towards your potential. When you feel you're growing and you're developing it, that then sets you on this trajectory of fulfillment, of feeling that fulfillment, and then continuing to move towards who it is you want to become, the vision you have for your life. And it's such a powerful reframe of, rather than focusing on the outcome, focusing on the process. And then going into the amount of potential we have in our lifetime, we're not even going to be able to develop it all. So there's this narrative out there of reaching your full potential, your full potential, your full potential. When you can recognize there is no end game to this, that is just going to be a constant flow of potential that will nonstop, that it'll never stop for you, of what's possible, that opens up some amazing new doorways of opportunity in your life. That gets so exciting for you, because then you realize, man, I'm not even tapping into all this stuff. Like, let's get this going. And that could be a kick in your ass to like make some moves and make some important decisions to either continue to move towards the goals that you have, or to make changes and pivot and be able then to continue to focus in on the process so that you're continuing to grow. And what I want to remind you of with the body, this goes back into burnout, is that the body is like a balloon. So it can fill up a certain amount of stress and overwhelm and tension and pressure that we feel in our day to day. Like, the body can handle that to a certain point where once it bursts, that's hitting burnout. And what is really helpful to help get some of that air out of that balloon is feeling like you're making progress towards your goals, towards the vision you have for your life, towards feeling like you're developing your potential. That is such a great way to release that air out of that balloon so that your body isn't getting to that point of burnout. It's exciting to get wins and then to feel that momentum. Like, you go back to a moment that you remember of a small win or a major win that came up, and that excitement that you felt, if that was, getting a rep in for the workout, finishing the workout for the day, if that's actually completing a race that you had set out for, like an endurance race, or it could be finding your person your love of your life, or being able to hit that, that starting the business or getting that promotion at work. Like, we can have these moments where we feel that momentum and excitement of possibilities, and being able to be reminded of how much potential we have, which is endless. It's just so fucking cool to remember. And it's thinking back to us as human beings, like, the odds of you being born are 1 in 400 trillion. Let that sink in. 1 in 400 trillion. So it doesn't have to be a moment of like, oh shit, like beating yourself up internally of, damn it, dude, like I'd be so much further than where I am right now. You can just look at the reality of each day that you got moving forward is a beautiful gift. And not all the time are we going to be able to be in that moment of like, oh my gosh. I had one friend who would always say, like, isn't it nice that we have this and that and this? And we make fun of him sometimes with that, of like, we give him shit, until I realized how powerful it is and how important it is for gratitude, of like, oh yeah, you do have the ability to have a roof over your head. You do have the ability to eat food, to stay hydrated, like things that we can take for granted all the time. It's a moment to come back. And I know it may sound like cliche or cheesy or whatever way you want to put it, but it's the truth. So coming back into that, of that potential, is such a powerful principle to hold on to whenever you're feeling the real struggle bus, being on that struggle bus and is really, really hurting right now. Come back to that principle of just realizing what you're capable of. And you're fucking made of stardust. I was like, you're made of stardust. Like, that is so cool. So cool. So each day being able to lean into that more as you move forward can help you along the way. So now let's get into the situation that you might be in for your goals specifically. I want to break it down based off of 2 different situations that come up. So you've either haven't achieved your goals. So I want to share with you a situation of how you can break that down. And so that's where we're at. It's like, you haven't achieved your goals. So that's actually the baseline. The option could be like, you either stick with those goals you've set out and try to continue to make progress towards it, or there's an opportunity to pivot and change and get ready for the new year. And then there's another scenario that I'll share with you as well. But let me get into first this one of comparing where you are now to where you started with the goal. So when I think about this, in the last conversation, I shared with you the habit I'd set out of getting at least 2 hours in every day outside time, like getting outside for at least 2 hours a day. That was a habit and a goal I'd set out to accomplish. When I started that, it was a struggle to even get to 2 hours. Like, there'd be some days where, again, like late at night, like I'm in the cold, it's super windy. This is when I'm living with my parents in Maryland, and I'm like, fuck this shit. I can't even get 2 hours. Like, this is rough. And like, there was quite a few days I didn't hit the 2 hours. Then I'm looking at today, just now before coming in here and recording with you, and I hit 4 hours. And so there have been some days recently where I'm like, fuck, man, I didn't hit the 4 hours, but like, oh shit, like, let me look back at how I was getting those 2 hours in. And man, I've grown so much. Like, hells yeah. That just becomes then fuel for me to know that I can face the challenges and I can show up for a new day and I can reset. And that can help me to then continue to move forward and show up tomorrow and focus on 4 hours. So that's a moment for you to remember to reflect back on your progress. Yeah, like, so many times we keep looking forward, and then whenever we look back, it's looking at the problems or the challenges and like how shitty situations have been on us, and like we use that as then excuses to not continue to move forward and make progress. But when you can actually look back at the progress you've made, find those wins that have happened for you, and realize the difference between your baseline of starting this goal to where you are now, man, that's fuel that you can take moving forward into the remainder of, like, now getting close to 30 days out from the end of the year. And a question to ask yourself in that, as you're thinking about it, is, are you excited about your progress? Like, was the difference surprising to look at the baseline to where you are now? Because if it is exciting, celebrate that. Right now, be able to, how I do it for the celebration is, I tap my shoulders and then I raise my arms up in the air and I do like a whoa with an X, and I let out some, like a roar, like an epic, and like, I'm trying to think, that's an epic roar. Think about that. So remember to celebrate it, even if it's tapping your shoulder and acknowledging that you did it, but something to remind your body of, wow, this was exciting to have this progress. Now I can take this moving forward. So that's one way to look at it. Here's another one that might be coming up for you is you look at the baseline, you look at then where you are now, and you're disappointed. You're disappointed in the progress. You realize, wow, I've made a lot of mistakes. I put a lot of things on the back burner. I actually haven't taken the time to focus in on, let's say, your health and like actually take the time to do the workouts or go out there for my movement or these small little things where I'm like, damn it, I could have done more. Right. So it's disappointing. So that's could be washing over you right now. And again, that could be the body could be feeling some tension with that, some pressure. You might be feeling yourself expanding and that can feel like you're expanding in this box that you've put yourself in. So that could come up, and that's natural to also experience that. I've had that with some of my own goals. Okay. I have one in particular I'm thinking about right now that I'm holding on to. And it's the ability for me when I think about that ability of me for strength. Like I want to be stronger than I am right now for the goal. Like I'm like, damn it, dude. Like you've been consistent with getting workouts, but you've been focusing on posture, and I've been focusing on making sure my mobility is there, and then getting my endurance up. But man, strength has been put on the back burner. Like really doing some like fucking epic workouts that are make me feel strong. So that's disappointing. But then here's a reframe for you is to remember that there is over 30 days left in this year. And that one action, one conversation, one moment can create momentum. And from there, you can then move forward and build upon that momentum. Another one that's not related to like the strength one, but it was about this mission to make burnout extinct. Earlier this year, I had the first Burnout Proof workshop in person, and that was incredible experience to be able to do that for this group out in, I'm trying to think of the state. Ohio, out in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I went there, but by going there and doing that workshop, that's what I feel has sparked this show for you, this podcast of creating this and the momentum that's been building with this movement. But what happened was I got a message. I didn't even do any outreach for this. It was a message from a college connection who had said, hey, I heard you're talking about burnout, and through a mutual friend, and thought like that this is what we need for our company is supporting this. Would you be willing to come out and support and figure something out? And I'm like, hells yeah, I'm in for that. But it was one message then started this momentum of where it is today for this mission to make burnout extinct, which is so incredible. The amount of people, I think in the US, I don't know internationally right now, but off the top of my head, you all that are listening and watching are in over half the US states. So this movement is growing, which is so incredible and awesome, but it all came back to that one message. And so when you can remember that, it can help you to then figure out, okay, what is the one action, one conversation, one thing that I can put my focus towards for tomorrow to create that momentum for yourself? What could that be? If that's a message that you've been putting off, if you haven't to send, the call that you got to make, the hard conversation to be had, what is that so you can make it happen and show up and put the rep in? And remember, tomorrow is a new day to reset, and to be able to remember that. Because when you are moving on that momentum phase of life, then it's going to allow for bigger goals to come your way, which is so awesome and incredible. Now, here's the other thing to remember is that you can always carry the goal over to the next year. Like somehow I know for me, I have this moment of like, fuck, dude, I didn't get it this year. I got to completely start from scratch, right? It's the all or nothing. Like either I did it or I didn't do it. And now I got to create a whole new goal. And this has been a struggle for me of having to remind myself that you can always carry the goal over to the next year. The question to ask yourself is, does this resonate? Do you resonate with the goal anymore? So that can be something where, are you getting excited whenever you read out this goal? If that's a financial goal that you want to hit, if that is a strength goal you want to hit, or relationship, like, do you get excited? Does it give you a charge, an energy spark? And that can start in your belly. That could, you could feel the tingles in some way, but it does that. So if it does, okay, bring it on to the next year. What you can also do is realize, is this goal right now too big? So do you realize that it's too big of a financial goal right now? There's too big of a leap, so it's causing you to stay stuck. Or it could be with your strength. Like if you have a certain goal you wanted to hit for strength, is that too much right now that's causing you to stay stuck? If it is, realize that you can just lower it. Lower the goal so that you can hit it and then move closer with the momentum to the original goal. There's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong about you in you doing that. It's just a better strategy for yourself if you're feeling stuck right now to move towards the making progress towards the goal that you've set out. It doesn't hurt you in any way of like, I know it might be a little bit of a hit to the ego, but what you have to remember is where you start doesn't have to be where you end up. These are phases in our life. There are chapters in our life. And when you can recognize that, it can help you to realize, okay, this is ridiculous for me to think I can't lower the goal. Because if I hit it, the faster I hit then that goal, because it helps me with creating momentum, I can then just move back to the original goal and continue to make progress. And then I'm better off than where I started. So that's another thing to remember is like, you're not weak to lower the goal. You don't have to feel worthless in this way of like, fuck, I can't believe I have to lower the goal. What it is, it's smart because it keeps you in staying in the game of making progress. And that's a game that it's one of the hardest games that we play against ourselves, really. I mean, that's where a lot of the battle is staying consistent with yourself. It's like, what the people try to say, it's the sauce. It is the magic sauce right there. It's to stay consistent. So another way to help with a principle to hold on to of a principle is the 99% commitment versus 100% commitment. This I also learned from John Butcher. And then I added in this focus on 90% reps of your habits. So it's combining the two. What the 99% commitment versus 100% commitment means is that when you've set out a specific habit that you've been wanting to focus in on, let's say of getting outside for a morning walk, it's like a good one to use. Instead of being unsure if you're going to show up each day and do this thing, and that's where the 99% commitment comes in of like, maybe you have to make that decision every morning. Do you go for the walk or do you not go for the walk? Instead, commit to it 100%. Just commit. Just say, I'm going to do this walk and I'm going to focus in on it every day and just make it happen. And when you have taken the decision off the table and you just said, this is a habit you're going to implement, that gives a lot more energy. It frees up a lot of energy that you can put towards actually getting out of bed and moving and getting outside and getting that morning walk in. Now, what I've added on top of this that I think can be really helpful, especially if you feel for me, what happens is when I think of 100% every day I have to show up and put the reps in, I know that's not true because perfection doesn't exist. Like I could probably do that for a while, for 90 days, or maybe even 180 days if I'm really just don't have a lot going on in my life. But because I'm wanting to grow in a lot of different areas of life and make progress, I know it's going to get chaotic and things are going to get in my way for challenges that I'm going to have to deal with that may cause me to not be able to get the walk in the morning. So instead, what I've gone back to is 90% of the reps of your habit in the month, meaning that for 30 days, I have 3 days that I get to decide to take a break from the morning walk. And with the morning walk, it could be just, life hits me with different challenges. So I just miss it and I mark it. Or it's one of those moments where I really need that time to rest. Like I just got a lot going on and I need to get some more sleep in. So I'll be like, okay, let me mark it. And so that's a goal for me, is to focus on 90% of the reps. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. And in those moments where it's not perfect, where I'm not hitting the 90% of the reps, what I have to come back to remind myself so I don't throw in the towel is that I have to remind myself of flexibility. Okay, if the morning walk isn't working out, I'm noticing that over a while. Let me make sure let me be flexible with when I do when I do my walk. Like, let me do that throughout the day. Like, let me get it in the afternoon or even the evening walk. Oh, maybe I could bring my partner and we could have a sunset walk. That'd be nice to be able to connect and get my exercise, my movement in to help me out with, I think about producing more energy in my body. And I'm also being able to reconnect with my partner, which gives me a more energy boosting, more of an energy boost to continue to move and get ready for the next day. So it's remembering, going back to this other principle to hold on to. This is from John Butcher, which is there is no one right way, but there is a right way for you. And it's figuring that out. It goes back to staying consistent with yourself and realizing it's not going to be perfect, but there can be that 100% commitment of like, okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do this thing, and then giving yourself the grace to know that you're going to miss some days. And that's where the 90% of the reps come in. Another thing to think about is mo time. So I've talked about mo time a lot. It is movement, your movement time, creating movement. And this is a way to reconnect with your body. So when you're reconnected with your body, it then helps you to get out of all that mind chatter that's going on that can help move you towards hitting burnout and being dragged by the burnout beast. So when you can reconnect with the rest of your body, it feels like you're opening up this trap door, and all the crazy shit we think about in our minds can just slowly move, or not even slowly, fast, rush back into the rest of our body. And when that happens, instead of it all being concentrated in our mind and it's then moved throughout our body, it becomes less intense for a charge. And then all of a sudden we're able to continue to move forward and make progress and show up and put the reps in towards the goals that we're looking to achieve. And with mo time, it could be as simple as going out for that walk. I recommend not bringing any distractions or tech or anything like that, but allowing yourself to get outside for a walk. It could be stretching, could be another great way to do this. You could be getting actually a workout in, so push-ups, pull-ups, squats. I'm trying to think of some other things you could be doing. You could be just lounging, hanging out if it's on the grass outside. I recommend outside, getting outside, but it doesn't have to be all the time. But you could be on your bed and doing a body scan, actually noticing where there's tension in the body, being able to relax, feel your shoulders, raise them, and then relax them down, and just do a check throughout the body and allow your muscles to contract and then release. And you can squeeze your hands, squeeze your arms, your legs. That's a great way to just do this release and contract, or this contract and then release. That's really helpful. But when you're reconnected with your body, and you can do that throughout the day, you're then not numbing a lot of the other sensations that can come up. And it can help you to understand where you got to put your energy and your focus in order to continue to move towards the goals that you set out. Because I go back to the more you understand something, the less scary it is. And when you create these goals, it could be very scary for these big goals that you've set out. There's that fear that can come up of wanting to stay stuck and freeze. But then when you can understand more of, okay, what do I need to do, or the actions I got to take or not take in order to move towards making progress to that goal, and you're able to, through reconnecting with your body, being able to be present and understanding that, it's a lot easier than to see the path that you've got to travel on to move forward. And what I want to remind you of is that you absolutely are capable of this as a human being. Going back to the potential that we all have within us, that there's so much potential there. And when you can take it one day at a time and realize that you're creating building blocks of an amazing foundation to be on for your life, all of a sudden you don't have to feel like this buildup of anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I got to do more. Because as long as you're showing up and you're putting the reps in and you're staying consistent for yourself, that is making progress towards who it is you want to become, the goals you've set out. You're on the path of feeling that fulfillment. It's exciting to be able to grow. And so you're doing things right in that way. And it goes back to figuring out what is right for you. That's also most important. So if no one's ever told you yet today, I believe in you. You're capable of this, and you got this. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate this podcast to help get this message out to make burnout extinct. And you can share what resonates with you from this episode by connecting with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. I don't take that for granted ever. And I'm so excited to reconnect again soon.